So, who's the number one resource to achieve financial independence by real estate investing? None other than Andrew from FIbyREI. What is up, Money Tribe? Mike Damazo here to help you make sense of dollars. How You Money is a series of interviews with people exploring their financial journey. Well, let's start with the first question. What made you start in your financial journey?
Yeah, it really was when I went from being in mortgage banking, making great money, hating life, to then being in the nonprofit sector where I was loving life but wasn't making money. And that's really what sort of prompted me to think about finances, actually think about investing, trying to build wealth so I could have financial security, but also, do work that I really love.
And what is your number one money hack since you've started in this journey?
Yeah, I'd say it's controlling your housing expenses. For most folks, housing's one of their biggest line items in their budget. So, whether you control it via house hacking, which, I've done 4 different times now, or just finding some alternative choice for housing is a really great way. I mean, even when I was back in North Carolina, I was renting a place for $300 a month, even though I owned 24 rental units. It was because I could find a place so cheap that was in a perfect location, had everything that I needed. So yeah, I'd say that one thing is trying to control your housing expenses because it lets you build a lot of other wealth.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that, just take care of that one big thing. Everything else will definitely follow.
I mean, cutting out the Starbucks helps, but even if you're doing $5 a day, it's only $150 a month, where if you can cut your housing, for most folks, that's $800, $1,000 or more a month. So cut the housing costs and keep doing the Starbucks if that's what you really like.
Yes. And who would you say, since the beginning to now, who are some of the influences and inspiration for you when you first got started?
I really loved the idea of Mr. Money Mustache. I hate his extreme frugality. That's definitely not me, but I like the fact that he just thought so differently. So that's sort of on the personal finance side. On the real estate side, I really love Coach Chad Carson. He's just an awesome, really genuine, nice guy. One of the things I really love about him is the fact that he's been investing since the early 2000s. I bought my first house at 20 at 2002. There's a lot of folks that have had a lot of success here in the past 3 or 4 years, but Chad's been there through several big economic down cycles. So to that, his experience plus just him being an all-around genuine nice guy. So I'd say sort of those two were inspirations to have me really think about things differently.
Yes, I love Coach Carson and everything. His whole podcast, YouTube, and everything, and all around great person. Name one thing you choose to spend extravagantly on.
Fine dining in select locations. And I'll expand on this a little bit. So this isn't, I'm going to go eat some really good food just for nourishment. It's all about the experience. So one of the best meals my wife and I, we just love to travel. I've been to 30 plus countries. She's been to 40 plus countries. So we love that really fine dining. That's the experience. So when we were in Rome, the last time we were there, we went to Hotel Hassler. It was right in the city near the Trevi Fountain, top of the hotel. And it was called Damazo, Michelin star restaurant.
Oh, nice.
And it had panoramic views of all of old ancient Rome. And it was just this, it's not hey, I'm hungry and I need to eat and have the substance. It was truly one of these great experiences. They had Dom Perignon that you could actually buy by the glass. They had Krug, which is normally $300-$400 a bottle. It's not something we'd normally buy, but you can get it for that special occasion. And it's that's what one of the things we'll splurge on next to travel is that truly fine dining experience.
Yeah, it's completely something different. I learned that from my wife. She worked in Napa before, and then her taking me to different restaurants and then figuring out wine. It kind of unlocked a whole different experience with food and everything.
Yeah, when you have that chef's table with the tasting menu and it's paired with that wine and how you can have 2 different wines with the same food and it just opens up all these flavors. So to me, it's a really cool experience that my wife and I really love.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just want to go back to you mentioning traveling. Where was your like most favorite place?
Oh man, Italy's by far one of my favorite countries. I've been 4 or 5 times now, and we always seem to going back. We were actually supposed to go here this fall for my wife's 35th birthday. I was going to take her to Milan, but COVID
Yeah.
had that plan. Most recent one was actually we went to Petra in Jordan, which
Oh, nice.
ever since Indiana Jones, when I was a little kid, like that had been on the list. So that was probably one of the coolest ones. Like when I was there, like I was texting my brother, my dad. I'm like, I'm there. So that was probably one of the coolest experiences that travel experiences that we've had recently.
Those are definitely most of the best ones where it has that nostalgia feel, just that you connect it to like a movie. Just, you're there and everything. Yeah. So my next question is, what is your best advice you ever received?
Yeah, this was an interesting one. And it really came from a mentor that I had in real estate investing. He gave me tons of great advice about real estate investing, but he said, don't spend a lot of time focusing on savings, like manage your expenses, but it's better to spend your time on building wealth and increasing your income, because you only have so much expenses you can cut. But, you could bring even if you brought your expenses down to zero, you make a bigger impact by growing your wealth. So spend the time learning how to make an extra $1,000 a month, then $2,000 a month, then $5,000 a month, and $10,000 a month, versus just focusing on cutting out the $100 a month you spend on Starbucks or smaller things like that.
That's so true. I for myself, I never even thought about that. With just like you could cut so much, but really building that.
You can't cut below zero, right? So if you're already, you can manage. If you can cut from like $6,000 to $3,000, that's going to make an impact. But there comes a point where you can only condense it so much before like your wife, your boyfriend, your husband, your spouse, like it's just not going to be a comfortable living situation. So it's, versus expanding it is endless. I mean, you can have that income grow forever.
Nice. And for the next question, I noticed that, you've been creating content and everything, podcasts, socials, Facebook and everything. Which piece of content would you say is your most favorite one, and why is that?
Yeah, so I actually just revamped this content. I sort of liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. I had put together last year this sort of ultimate guide to house hacking, and I thought it was good. But then I just spent all of June, July, and early August revamping it and expanding it. And now it's probably my favorite piece of content. And what I did is I took, all the basics of house hacking that people got. But, we've probably 40 different written case studies on house hackers, plus the podcast. And then I could take pieces of people's story to build it into that ultimate guide, to then say, look, here's the basics of it. And, here's 2 or 3 different examples of how folks have done it with this style or this way. And so, yeah, that's probably our new updated ultimate guide to house hacking. It's probably my favorite piece of content.
Nice. And for the closing questions, who are you interested in seeing how you money?
Oh man, so this I'm gonna murder his last name, Greg Willenow.
Okay.
So very quiet guy. Him and his wife are website developers, but they have built some of the websites for some of the biggest names in the personal finance space, like JD Roth at Get Rich Slowly, Paula Pants at Afford Anything.
Wow.
They put out and built, 200 plus different personal finance websites over the past several years. And no one really knows about them except for the people that have had them design the site. And so they've got to have this really interesting story. So I'd say, if you could get them on to talk about how they money, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'll definitely try to get them on and everything. So what are you up to right now?
Yeah, so I, with COVID, not a whole lot, but I actually started a executive MBA program this year. So
Congratulations.
I never did an undergrad. Thank you. I started working right away at 19, bought my first house by 20, sort of skipped college. And then I got accepted into this dual degree executive MBA program to try to learn everything that I don't know, the known unknown, so that way I can get better at running my financial website, get better at the nonprofit work I do, get better at real estate investing, and hopefully help me scale everything I'm doing a bit more.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out Andrew's channel. It'll be in the links down in the descriptions. High five that subscribe if you haven't already. Tap that thumbs up. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And definitely leave a comment below what you think of How You Money. Stay legendary, and I'll see you in the next video.